It happened once, and it never happened again because I was like, I don't trust you anymore. You had your chance.
Yeah, and then you ruined it.
Hello and welcome back to the Greats Mates podcast. I flubbed that. I'm gonna fucking go again.
I'm keeping this in.
Okay, we're keeping this in. Well, welcome back to the Great Mates podcast for another week. And turns out I can't fucking talk, but that's not new because I always can never talk. This is going to be a rambly podcast, most probably. Hopefully not as rambly as last week.
Yeah, no,
that was a behind-the-scenes disaster, but it's just me and the daddy of the podcast, Josh, tonight.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
Last week was
An adventure?
Yes, an adventure that also required a lot of editing. So
Yeah.
We had audio tracks stretch past the 2-hour mark. So if you look at the actual runtime for last week's episode, which was about an hour 35.
Yeah, but also that was like it was
25
yours
pre-roll.
and my.
Yes.
It was our tracks that went
our-
over 2 hours.
Yes.
Benaya's went for like
An hour something.
140. Yeah,
Kind of,
because he forgot to hit record. Oh, Benaya.
Oh, lordy.
I hope you had fun at working VidCon.
Oh, yeah, so I heard. Apparently he bumped into famous people. Quite a few famous people.
It fucked up a couple times. Oh, poor boy. But he's not here.
He's not
can
here.
Tell those stories when he is here.
And hopefully if he remembers, we'll jog his memory. It's fine.
I mean, we're still waiting on stories from Anastasia. Whenever we're going to hear those.
Good lord. We have a backlog when Anastasia comes back. But, also stories from Jamer because boy hasn't been on in ages as well. And then...
Yeah, he seems busy.
He's busy. So, we'll see what happens.
And I mean, we've also got stories from Olivia and...
There's a backlog from Brandon as well.
How? He hasn't been on for like 3 weeks, so that's understandable.
Only 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2
He was on.
weeks.
He was on the previous, not last week's episode, fortnight before.
Yes.
But apparently something happened this past week, so we'll get a backlog from that. So
okay,
interesting things apparently. But yes,
turns out this podcast is just foreshadowing for future podcasts.
we like to build hype, but also acknowledge that there's a definite end to some things. So I'm sure people would have already noticed I'm forewarning the end of this season already, and also foreshadowing Halloween's spooky special once again. So if there's something to look forward to, we will let you know about it. So yeah. Ah, dear. Anyway, what's been going on this week, Nick?
This week I found out my stepbrother is coming tomorrow for 2-3 weeks.
Oh,
and that involves flying from New Zealand. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know. And his bedroom that we've been slowly building isn't finished yet. So, there's a bed in it, but there's no power in it, and it'll be done. He comes on Tuesday, and it should be done on Wednesday.
Fingers
That's not
crossed.
terrible.
No, yeah, that should be fine.
The rest of the house has power.
Oh,
Actually, it does have power now. We got the power back Friday after my
thank
stepdad
God.
was like, let's water blast the roof.
Oh,
Oh, wait,
God.
I think the roof will leak. Oh, the roof leaked.
Oops.
Oh, look, our entire garage is destroyed.
Oh god.
So yeah, that was Friday. Saturday we spent mostly saving and cleaning stuff, and then by yesterday, Sunday, all the power was restored in the house. We restored most of it Friday, but one of the circuits we think was like waterlogged, so we had to leave it to dry out.
Ooh, lordy.
And yeah, he's not allowed to order any more tradies now.
I mean, that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't check the condition of the roof before you put people up there to clean it.
Or apparently the water blaster guy was supposed to come next Friday, not last Friday.
Oh,
so that's also an issue.
Oh boy.
Or else, like, my stepdad was like, "Oh, we'll put tarps on the roof," but I mean, we still wouldn't have been able to do that to the garage, and all the stuff that was in storage in the garage would have still got fucked.
Yeah.
But nothing really got destroyed. Only like boxes and bags and containers and such.
Okay.
But all the motorbikes are fine. My brand new bookcase is like a little bit stained, but it needs to get like the properly painted. It's only got like an undercoat on it. So hopefully I can just paint over the stains.
Fingers crossed there.
Then they will be magically gone. I mean, it's like a grey paint, so hopefully that'll just disappear everything.
Yeah, that should work.
Yeah.
That should work. Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and then I can get rid of this destroyed bookcase and get in a nice new bookcase. Then I was already saying to Mum yesterday, I was like, "Oh, there's like a bookcase up for sale for like $20." She's like, "No more bookcases until you finish this bookcase." Also, I don't know where you're going to put this third bookcase.
God, put it outside.
No, because then it'll get ruined.
Yes, that's the yep. Oh, yeah.
I like bookcases because they hold books and you can decorate them.
Oh, bookcases. I mean, yeah, they help you build impressive collections. From my own experience,
but then you can get a what was the term? Professional book collector or whatever the fuck that bullshit Gwyneth Paltrow had.
Oh, the professional like book organizer?
Yeah, that selected books to keep on your shelves.
Oh, that's horseshit though.
Yeah.
So it makes you seem like you're educated.
Yeah. They just pick the books that will make you look smartest. This also comes from the woman that drinks alkaline water with a spritz of lemon.
No, and is also the same woman who has a company that makes jade eggs that go up people's vaginas. You know.
Also sold sunscreen that didn't work.
Yes.
And forgot she was in Spider-Man. I mean, that one's understandable because apparently because their contracts are just like, when we want you to show up, you have to show up unless you actually have a reason to not show up.
Okay.
So a publicist or like agent or whatever would have just been like, Marvel want you, come to Atlanta on this date. She's like, okay, and didn't even know what the fuck she was filming.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like, Infinity War and Endgame were filmed back to back. So I understand not knowing what films you're actually in or not.
Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I should get this off my chest before I move on to more positive things. So for listeners of the podcast who would have heard a few weeks ago, that something happened in my sort of like friendship circles, that shit hit the fan. So what's happened is apparently this has been resurrected once again, very recently. So one can imagine my frustration and I guess disappointment that it's had to be resurrected. It's frustrating that you hold hope that people will change their behavior, but then they don't, and then they just double down on more unsavory language directed to other people. So yeah, that happened recently, and oh god, and I'm just really trying not to, I guess, I don't know. Giving up seems like a very strong term to apply to this person, but I feel like having held out hope for the best part of 2 months to see this person change their view on the situation that I described a few episodes ago, and it not really happening, and instead it's been fueling toxic behavior. Just maybe giving up on this friendship with this person is probably the most appropriate way to describe what I'm feeling right now. So yeah, that happened, and I would hate to be the person that brings this down. This is why I'm telling this now before I get into the very nice positive stuff, but it just sucks balls, right? That it has to happen, but it's an inevitable. It's one of those like unnecessary evils that people have to just, friendships have a natural end. I understand that, but I guess this context is a little bit harder to sort of, this is a situation that I didn't want to have to be in, but I think I have no real choice anymore. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it sucks when you know enough is enough. And also just having to deal with other people's bullshit.
Yes.
Because this is bullshit that shouldn't involve you.
No, it really shouldn't. This petty bullshit should have been done and dusted, at the time when it happened.
You would think, it wouldn't be a thing that needed to be resolved.
Yeah.
And we talked about this when we first talked about it, but
yeah. And it's yes, I understand people can be, I guess, shocked at some revelations, but to sleep on something for 2 weeks, then sideswipe friends of yours within the same friendship circle with news, and then and then simmering on that for another 6 weeks, and then it pops up again, and then you go on a massive basically hate rant against this one person.
From what it sounded, it was almost verging on homophobia.
I would class it as homophobia. This is the point where we're at, ladies and gentlemen, with this particular scenario. It's just and I guess the biggest thing that I have to sort of be aware is and I've already told some friends of mine about this, is you have my blessing to throw shit if you need to, because I'm not it's really been sort of I'm trying to pick my own battles, and at this point in time right now, I would rather not have to deal with this, just because it just implicates so many people now, and it's now there are even more people being dragged into this situation. So I've told my friends, it's you have my blessing to burn the bridges if we need to, but
Which also never feels good.
It never feels good, and I've done it before, and it never feels great.
Yeah.
But if it's something that needs to be done, we need to do it. There is a reason why, and cunty behavior is something that absolutely deserves to be, have a bridge burnt. but because of the whole thing is like now it's involving even more people and more people know about the one side of this story, right? And it's a hideously colored story as well. It's like now we have to formulate some sort of group response as well. Just trying to make sure that people don't add oil to the fire. Because the fire has already been burning for a while and we tried to contain it and it's not working, obviously. We're just trying to minimize as much further, like, people being dragged into it, I guess. So, yeah. Perils of being, like, the third party in a shitstorm that just doesn't seem to end. But yeah, I have decided to sort of, like, focus my energy on more positive stuff and focus on that instead of trying to, try to put out whatever is going on over here, just because it's not going to help me either. And knowing how much the previous situation affected me, and what I had to do to try and not go down that road, this is sort of like the point. It's like, no, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to let I'm going to rely on my other friends to sort of help, like, carry this as well, and to help manage what is bound to be something that is going to get a lot worse, I think, over time. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, enough negativity. I went over the weekend, went and attended my very first Pride March at Brisbane Pride that happened at the time of when this episode is going to be dropping. It would have been last weekend. I marched under a whole bunch of different, like, the combined LGBTQIA plus community members from different Brisbane universities. Yeah, that was an experience. And I guess keeping in mind that this is the, like, actual, like, first Pride that I've ever attended. So yeah, lots of things happened. And I guess I'm quite glad that it, like, my experience of Pride wasn't spoiled by hecklers on the parade route, which, but also, I guess, because I also attended the Pride Fair that happened, some of the, potential negativity that might happen at Pride as well. But on the whole, yeah. But yeah.
I mean, you've got one on me. I mean, it depends on what you define.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done, like, march stuff or anything, but I've been to, like, a fair few, like, fair days and the like, but... I
mean, okay, in fairness, Brandon has the one-up on all of us, I think.
Well, yeah, I feel like that boy almost leaves at Pride. I mean, maybe more he could if he wanted to.
I think that's the more appropriate thing.
Yeah.
And as we've said, many a time, Brandon and I are basically the same person, just slightly mirrored in some aspects. Especially when it comes to, like, Pride, he will go all out. We've seen evidence of him going all out at Pride. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. How do I describe it? Marching in the parade was an experience. Given like it wasn't that long of a walk. I want to put, maybe it's like 3.5, 4K. Again, this is like in the part of Brisbane which is quite hilly, so and I will say, even though my feet, like, basically gave up at the end of the day, I have to shout out, like, anyone who was walking on the asphalt in heels or in drag in the heat as well.
Yeah, there was the impressive ones.
Yes, y'all have a lot of energy that I don't, and I just have to bow down to you. That yeah, all the people that do that, which is, It's amazing. It's like,
I mean, I give props to anyone wearing heels the best of times.
fair enough though, fair enough. But yeah, it was parts of it were surreal, I guess. I never really I never really put that expectation on myself to like attend Pride. That wasn't something that I was actively like considering, I guess, before I publicly like came out and stuff like that. But yeah, I did it with the university mainly because it was, I guess, at least my gateway into exploring what Pride is. And it was, and I saw a few other friends that I saw during the parade as well, so that was kind of like a safety sort of social support thing as well. So for most of us it was our first Pride march, so it was pretty cool. And got to catch up with a lot of other people as well in the fair. That was amazing. Best part about Pride Fair was probably getting the rainbow IKEA bag, and I know a lot of people are jealous that about the rainbow IKEA bag. So yes, I think that's the best thing about having gone into the fair day, apart from obviously going around and seeing what else is like, what particular services are available here in Brisbane. I was chatting to a few friends and a few staff members today, actually, just talking about like what's available here in Southeast Queensland. And yeah, there really isn't a lot in terms of LGBTQIA plus support services throughout the state in general. I mean, we do have like Open Doors Youth Service and Brisbane Youth Service, and like there's lots for queer youth, and then there's a queer elders program as well that's run by Queensland AIDS Council. But there's not much, I guess, in between or for student like specific sort of stuff, tertiary student support stuff as well. So more to do in the future. So, but yeah, would you ever attend a Pride parade, Nick?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It's something that I don't know how I would cope.
Okay.
From a mental health aspect.
And fair enough, I guess.
It's got nothing to do with the queerness or whatever. It's just, I just don't know if I would be able to cope with it. So.
And I can understand that, because like the whole vibe itself can be pretty overwhelming. Just sheer volume of people, I guess, as well. And yeah, I could definitely like sort of sense part of me just being a bit overwhelmed. So, and I guess that's the reason I sort of tapped out pretty early, is like combination of a Brisbane spring that is like ridiculously hot, and the sheer volume of people sort of like, I might need to tap out at some point. So yeah, maybe if we I
also don't like how political it can be at times.
Mm-hmm.
Where I understand why it is.
Yes.
But sometimes I'm like, people are making too much out of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can also see that. I guess it's tricky when you're trying to find the balance between obviously acknowledging the very political nature, I guess, of Pride and its history and who's supporting it and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's why I understand why. But
yeah.
It's like the people who were campaigning for whatever the day after the marriage equality, or the hours, minutes after the marriage equality bill got passed in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why don't you celebrate this victory and then we can move on?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I just feel like that a lot with the queer community.
Yeah.
Where I'm like sometimes you're not acknowledging the progress or the or you're not celebrating, you're just trying to find your next struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost just sad, and I don't want to be involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I can see that as well. It's like for some people, like for them, like once the one sort of battle is done, it immediately move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And I can understand like part of the motivation of doing that, but also like from a more sort of overall sense, it's like making sure that you are celebrating the victories that you fought for. So yeah. Maybe one day, if we all happen to meet up, we should all go to a pride parade and just watch it. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. If we all like knock on wood,
we're
like
in the
one
right
of us,
place at the right
time, yes. And we have the money to do this. We might all come together and celebrate Mardi Gras or whatnot. Yeah. Speaking of queer stuff, I hear you've been watching something.
Watching something that is hella queer. Now, I don't believe I talked about it last week. I believe I was talking about it off air. So I'm pretty sure it was off air. But if not, and I'm going to try to not get too overwhelmed by it because fuck, it was good. But so
to clarify, this is Nick's terrace house.
Yeah, this did become or my MasterChef or Bake Off or
we found Nick's brand.
Oh, it's such a weird brand because it's not a brand I would have thought I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always advertise my Twitter. My Twitter is wrestling. My Instagram is like cats.
Uh-huh.
I don't get into gay Twitter. I don't watch dating shows. And yet I marathoned a 12-episode plus extra content queer. Well, it's not a queer dating show. It's a dating show that had a queer season.
Yep.
So it is called Are You the One? I found out about it via one Grace Helbig, who talked about it on a weird reality show roundup she did as like a vlog thing. And basically it is this show where you take X amount of, in the original seasons, X amount of men, X amount of women, and they have to figure out who their chosen match is as decided by experts. So they have 10 weeks to figure out, to pair up via various yes or no challenges and statistics and various other means of figuring out who their chosen perfect match is. However, this season, season 8, all the contestants and cast members are queer, sexually fluid, bi, pan, whatever. And anyone can be anyone's perfect match.
Oh my god.
So usually it's like 10, 11 men and women.
Mm-hmm.
This they made it a little bit easier. There are only 18 contestants, but that does mean there were 17 people you could match with.
So the possibilities are, let me try and do some quick math about that. So the number of combinations are at least hang on.
I mean, it's 17 factorial.
17 factorial. Which would make it like what?
And one
84 million?
Yeah, one of the cast members is a stats nerd and kept on the entire show being like, we need to do the statistics to figure this out. This is hard. We can't have the gay season lose. Like, we have to prove, because
you have to prove the gays are worth it.
If in 10 weeks they could get 9, is it? 9 perfect matches, or whatever.
So is it more than
8 perfect
50%?
matches. 8. So it was
Okay.
8 perfect matches. So 16 cast members. If they could
Oh,
get
yeah,
8 perfect matches in 10 weeks, they won a share of $1 million.
Mm.
So that's so you're going for love, and I think it ended up being like $64,000 each or something.
Oh, not
So
bad.
like it's not a lot of prize money,
No, but still, it's still
but
prize
still
money.
like it's a show and it's somewhat fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, this sounds interesting. I'll give it a watch. And then like one episode became 2 episodes, became 3, became 12
Became
in 3
the
days.
entire thing. God.
Yeah. And then I was raving about it in group chat and you were like, shut the fuck up, use Twitter. So every episode I live tweeted in 3 days. So it took over, it's probably like 200, 300 tweets probably.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Of me just being like, fuck Danny is cute, or fuck Kai needs to shut the fuck up. And just other stuff. And, it's even just like the cast. Because the cast, there were non-binary castmates, there was a trans castmate, there was an NB castmate who had a very strong drag persona. There was a castmate that had never dealt with gender non-binary people before.
Ooh.
There was a castmate who had never had a same-sex relationship before, which was weird.
If they knew they were...
Yeah, like he knew he
Not
liked... He
Okay.
knew he liked men, but had never had
Okay.
had a or maybe had a sexual relationship with men, but had never had a romantic relationship with men. And it just, he becomes a bane of the show's existence for a couple episodes. But everyone becomes. It's also interesting because, like, watching so many episodes in so few time, you can see there's a lot of people that didn't get spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And that was disappointing because I'm like, this person seems really interesting.
Yeah.
And since like stalking them on Twitter and Instagram, they're a really interesting person. It's just they didn't get
The edit wasn't kind to them.
Well, the edit wasn't kind to anyone, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Because around the multiple ways to figure out who your perfect one is, there's something called the truth booth where you vote in. So you have a challenge and then you go on a date, very similar to any other dating show. And then the people who don't go on the date pick between those that have gone on the date who they want to put into the truth booth. And in the truth booth, you find out whether the 2 people you've sent in there are a perfect match or not. And if they are a perfect match, they go to the honeymoon suite and are out of the show, but still count as a match to the beam ceremony, which is the rose ceremony of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get any beams at a beam ceremony, you lose $250,000. You lose a quarter of your money if you do not get any perfect matches. Which, I mean, with the chances, first episode,
Yep.
there's a lot of money that you could be losing.
Oh.
So, and then the other way is statistics. So during beam ceremonies, you can figure out, well, I sat next to this person and we got no beams, so they're not my perfect match. Or I've sat next to this person 3 beam ceremonies in a row and we've got 2 beams at each of those ceremonies. So chances are the person I'm sitting next to could be my perfect match. So halfway through the show, like, you might know who your perfect match is.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need as much screen time.
Yep.
So that happens a lot with the edit where you see people think that they have their match, or people are just coupling up. And even if that's not their perfect match, that's not interesting to the show. There's no conflict. There's no flirtation between other people. Like, reading about the show and watching the show, there are contestants who are trying to initiate threesomes, 5-ways.
Oh.
Like, it is steamy. And another thing they have in the house is what they call the boom boom room. I hated that name, just referred to it as the blue room because it sounded close enough and the room had a blue tint. And that is where everyone goes to fuck. And my first thing was, who washes those sheets? Because those sheets are going to be hella dirty.
Some poor intern.
Yeah,
some
probably
poor production intern.
Yeah. But it's just an interesting show.
So it's a mix of like Bachelor meets Married at First Sight.
Yeah, so it's very Married at First Sight, but without... it still has the conflict, but because you're not locked with this person for so many weeks...
Yeah.
Like, there was one couple that started very, very early in the show, and they blew up just as early, and that becomes a running conflict of them being like, you are poisonous for me, leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
But also them then getting like a couple drinks into them and being like, I have so much passion for you, let's go have sex.
My God.
So, I mean, I was thinking like, let's just throw like one or two ace people in there and just see what happens.
Ooh, or like poly people.
Yeah, that doesn't quite work with the.
I know it doesn't quite work. But if you
or maybe throw like some
in...
aero ace people in there, that'll make it even fun.
My oh my, but yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting premise, and I don't even know if I can go watch the straight one, to be honest, because I just don't think it's going to be as interesting.
I started off strong.
The best. That's the same. Like in one tweet, I added like MTV, who are the channel that hosts this, and the show's show's Twitter account being like, make more gay seasons. And if it's in Australia, I will think about not apply and then be disappointed I did not apply for that show.
Oh my God!
Because. I think that's the thing. If this show has found viewership with this and gets a large enough thing, keep it as this. Anything can happen. Even just do a gay season where it's all guys or all girls.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and I know there have been gay dating shows before. I mean, there are straight. There's like First Dates and what's the fucking one? The Proposal, that have had like queer relationships, quotation marks, on them. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it doesn't exist, but yeah, I was like, oh, it's so good. And then like one of the couples that have come out of the show have been on Twitter, and one of them's been like, buy my boyfriend's nudes. And I'm like, this is weird. And she's like, if you inbox me, I'll give you a discount on my boyfriend's nudes.
Oh my God.
And like, he's the one that's selling the nudes, so it's fine.
Okay, sure.
And I'm just like, this is a weird relationship dynamic.
Well, obviously, okay.
I mean, they're okay with it, so, I mean, if it works, I ain't gonna knock it. But
of course.
Like, this is just
it's an interesting relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's also good to see that the cast have remained friends. Mostly.
Okay.
And they also seem to be split a lot, like, half of them are in LA, half of them are in New York, New Jersey.
Okay.
So you do see them socializing a lot with each other, which is cool as well. Mm-hmm. And they're doing, like, one of my favorite contestants that came out of it, Danny, he's done, like, trans fundraisers recently, because the show only ended, like, 2-3 weeks ago. So I came onto it, like, pretty hot. Yeah. So a lot of the fallout, like, I was checking Danny's YouTube before, and it's like, his videos from, like, a month ago have got, like, 24 views, and then his newer videos have got, like, 200 views. So he's not, like, hot. Yeah. But he's gaining traction quite fast.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good, and I don't know, these are people that I've actually, like, grown to like, which is weird out of a reality show. I mean, not for you, because as you self-admit, like, you inbox with people from MasterChef and that.
Yes.
So, if
Yeah.
only, if only I can get to that level.
Okay, like, I guess, how do I say this? It just really depends on like how friendly the person is. Because yeah, the way that I've sort of managed to like get
I mean,
to know a lot
MasterChef
of,
is also not a thirst magnet. I mean, like, you can thirst after the contestants, but that's not what the show is about.
yes, that's not the primary focus of the show.
So, like, I can imagine, and I've seen it on Twitter, a lot of people just being like, "You're hot, wanna fuck?" And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't think you quite grasp that these people are still people, and while they
Yeah.
may have been fucking a lot in the house,
Yes. That's not
And
necessarily what they're really
yeah,
like
and while at the
outside
reunion
house.
special, someone did say, "I will unicorn for you," and I'm like,
Oh my god.
"Oh, let's not use the word unicorn." But so, like, yes, these are people that are sexually open, and that was kind of the gist of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still people,
Yes.
and
they
they're
are.
still like now on because Danny is a huge, massive nerd,
Mhm.
massive nerd both in height and in his level of nerdiness.
True long boy.
Oh, he's like over 6 foot. He's fucking massive. And a
Yep.
lot of the stuff, like, I will say this show's been both good and bad for me because some of the stuff that the non-binary and trans people have said have kind of been welcoming for me, I suppose is the term.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like opening up my eyes to stuff, which is good.
Oh yeah.
But also I've been like, fuck, this is a hot cast.
I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh my god, the thirst has happened. We have found Nick's weakness.
I mean, my weakness has always been there. I like people who are nerdy,
Yes.
but not like way too gone.
Yeah.
Like SourceFed was kind of like that. Not to the same extent, but I was like, these are cool people. I like these people.
Yeah. But I guess in terms of like a reality TV context, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's different. And like I said, this is a dating show. SourceFed was not a dating show.
Yeah, that's true.
So you do see, and like you see a lot of flirtation and
But
I
yeah.
mean, there was a lot of like, not like this isn't. I'm trying to like word this in a way that doesn't make me look bad. In all
Oh my
honesty,
God.
but there was like there was a mermaid party with a lot of people in low amounts of dress and a lot of like grinding, and it's like you see also like the show just pretended like everyone had a mermaid outfit. I'm like, nah, bitch. One of them did. What? Maybe two, but not the entire cast.
Oh my god.
Also, one of the contestants has the worst angry voice ever.
Oh boy.
Like, she is a really usually. Well, she at first I thought she was pretty sweet. She turned out to be not so sweet, but still fine. Still fine.
Okay.
But when she gets angry, this like demon comes out of her, and like you know that like possessed demon voice cliche thing that you see in movies. Yeah, that is her angry voice,
Oh boy.
and it is scary as fuck.
God.
If I was part of that show and I was there, I was like, I fucking hope she's not my match because I do not want to deal with that demon.
Oh,
I'm happy to
God.
be that demon's friend, but I do not want to be that demon's match.
Yep. Fair enough.
Because I could only imagine, like, you don't put the bins out one week, and just the demon comes at you.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. As a side note though, I would be really interested to see this, I guess, make the jump into Terrace House territory in terms of with a commentary team. That sort of, looks at the same footage as well and puts those observations out.
I mean, there was a love expert or like a love psychologist or whatever that came into their house once an episode and kind of like helped them iron things out. But even like Grace mentioned this of like, what the fuck is she doing? She comes in for like 10 minutes and I'm just like, oh, cool. So you all have baggage? Well, you need to get over that baggage for relationships. See ya. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And I bet she sticks around a lot longer than when cameras are off and kind of helps resolve some general issues in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But just in the edit, it just looks like she's almost teasing them.
Oh boy. But yeah, no, it would be interesting, I guess, if this made this sort of idea moved into terrace house territory. Because like there was one example of a male housemate in the last series of Terrace House that made it on like towards the end of the season. But it's like to see Terrace House sort of explore LGBTQness in the show itself, and particularly in Japan, when it's not really like sort of talked about.
Yeah, I mean, in Japan it would be very different.
Oh,
but
yes.
Even if you took this concept, removed the dating show aspect, I think it would still be interesting because you still get, especially
because
people
you still
who
get
were
the same
so
sort of
sexually
things, right?
Promiscuous.
You'd still get the same sort of drama.
Yeah, that the intermingle and the flirtation, and you could still have the mermaid parties and that.
Yes, you can.
And I mean, there was other stuff. It's just like because the mermaid party happened over 2 episodes.
Oh,
So that because the party just like people were just well and truly gone.
oh, okay.
So, like, they also had like gay prom, which was great because a couple. I mean, it split into like 2 weird groups because they decided the theme was going to be gender bending, which became like the typical very mask guys, just like wearing skirts.
Ah, okay.
And having like, the mask guys were like very stereotypically mask guys, and it was kind of weird. But then the non-binary. The non-binary castmates and those that were happy to do drag, and one of the castmates who thought his match was the castmate who was very much into drag.
Okay.
Like in the reunion, he talked about it where he was like he didn't want to participate. This isn't something he had experienced before. He didn't go to his high school prom. He never. Like, he's never lived a very gay lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's bi and whatever, and has had experiences with both genders, because he had never experienced non-binary genders. But after he saw how Bassett put on makeup and got into drag, he was like, you know what? I'm just going to observe, copy, and he ended up having a really good time. He came up with a really bad drag persona, but for a first time, you know what? It was good.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, you saw all these small developments, evolutions in the housemates, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But also, some people were just terrible. So many terrible, terrible people. Like demons screaming at you.
Oh, lordy. Seems interesting. It seems interesting.
It is interesting. To steal something from the end of the podcast, recommend it to everyone. It wasn't easy to find, but it wasn't hard to find either. So,
well, you did have to fly to the US for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I flew to Hawaii where they filmed the show. It's a little bit closer than elsewhere.
It is a little bit closer than other destinations that we had to travel to.
Yeah, it's not like Toronto.
Yeah, that and
Or
London.
Vancouver.
Or Vancouver. Yeah. Yes. I guess we can segue to closing off the show. I'm not sure if we have anything else. I mean, I guess as a side note, this is going to be wait, hang on. When does this episode drop? It's the last day of Pride month. Well, for Brisbane. I'm pretty sure, like, I would be all prided out by the end of this week, when we're recording. Just because there's a lot of stuff that I'm attending and it's going to be fun. But, yeah, that was my first, like, sort of true Pride experience. Now that that's sort of the first bit's been sort of ticked over, it's now just, I guess, figuring out what else I can sort of do in this space. But yeah, we'll see. I'm sure next year will be very different when it comes to doing this sort of stuff. But anyway, we're gonna segue now into our outro, which means we're going to talk about recommendations, where we basically recommend, as Nick's pointed out previously, TV shows or films. Sometimes we do video games, sometimes we talk about books, literature, comic books. Sometimes we recommend people to follow just because they're great. As part of our outros. So, Nick, what do you recommend this week?
Okay, well, apart from Are You the One? 8, this is going to be a weird recommendation.
Oh boy.
Not as weird as other recommendations, but as people may or may not know, I play Quidditch.
Ah, yes.
And I enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are confused about what the fuck it is. Well, a prime time has come for you to learn what Quidditch is. The 5th and 6th of October, which I presume is after this drops.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
From the basic maths I did in my head, is the Quidditch Australia State Shield, where the best of Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. However, there are 2 teams from New South Wales and 2 teams from Victoria. It's confusingly annoying, but they are all playing each other to determine who is the best state for Quidditch. And I have teammates that are playing, and ex-teammates and friends. Now, this is all going to be live streamed on Facebook. So, that is why I'm saying this. If you were interested in watching Quidditch, finding out about Quidditch, this is the perfect time. There's going to be commentary, there's going to be some teaching aspects through it, and that can be found on the Quidditch Australia Facebook page. So if you go to Facebook and search Quidditch Australia, spelt the same way as Quidditch usually is spelt, and the same way Australia is usually spelt, you just have to find the State Shield event, or it'll probably also just be on their Facebook. Look there, watch the live stream, and enjoy the Quidditch. And hopefully, New South Wales wins 2 in a row. Last year, New South Wales won, and everyone before that, Victoria has won. Queensland is not so good at Quidditch, just because they're much smaller.
Okay.
But New South Wales are sending 2 strong teams. It's in Melbourne, which is why why Victoria has 2 teams, because it's a bit easier for them to come, but also
transport.
For transport. So the people who are not so good are happy to transport.
Yeah.
Because the problem, now this is getting in depth, but the problem with Quidditch at the moment is Victoria is very stagnated in growth. They have a lot of aging players without getting new players in. So their A-grade players are starting to age and get injured and have children and retire. So they're not so good. But New South Wales is quite good with recruitment at the moment. Also, it's a university thing. Like Victoria doesn't have as many university teams New South Wales does, so you get a lot of recruitment out of universities.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to stay strong. So, but Newcastle has a rookie player who's playing for New South Wales, which is surprising. Like, this is his first year playing, and he's playing for New South Wales B, which is quite impressive. Yeah, for being he's never playing the game to being one of the best players in the state. So yes, go watch State Shield Quidditch. I will hopefully be watching it. I mean, I will be watching it. It's whether I watch it by myself or with the team. But that is a story for another
For
podcast.
another episode. Oh dear. But yes, and where can people find you?
People can find me at Twitter, which has all my Are You the One thoughts. They are all separated by episodes, so and there are no spoilers in the title things. So, there might be for some of the later episodes, but I tried to keep those as spoiler free as possible. But yes, you can find me on Twitter at Nick Landcroon. On Instagram, you can also find me at Nick Landcroon. There are cats and colouring in pictures of stuff I make.
Sweet.
I'm pretty universal at Nick Landcroon.
Mm-hmm.
And have fun with my rambles.
I have to. So I saw the Are You the One tweet thread. So I'm gonna have to have a look and see if it's actually worth investing in. From what you've said, it sounds like it's actually pretty good. So
For
who knows?
something that is 12 40-minute episodes, like it's not that hard of an investment.
Oh, yep.
Like
It's
especially when
bingeable.
you're looking at like The Bachelor, where it's like 3 90-minute episodes a week.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing where it was like, because each episode is a week, so a lot is lost to the edit.
Yep. Yeah. So it's very much like Terrace House in that aspect. Every episode is footage from a week, essentially. Anyway.
But yeah, I shared the photo to the group, and yeah, there's definitely like someone for everyone. It's a very diverse cast, and I like that.
We've seen that, and Brandon and I have pretty predictably arrived
you
at
all
the
went
same
for the bad.
people.
This is spoiler, but you both went for like the assholes of the cast.
Oh my god!
I was like, what? Come on, go for the guys who are slightly nice.
Again, we're basing this purely off of photos. So.
Oh yeah, purely on looks.
God, yes, yeah. You know, we are superficial as fuck. Anyway,
I mean, when all you've got is a photo,
yes,
you're superficial.
Yeah. Anyway, my recommendations are, I have multiple this week. How will I present this? The first recommend, is I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend all the Bake Off seasons that I'm watching and are going to watch in the next few weeks. So, Great British Bake Off Season 10, Great Canadian Baking Show Season 3, and then, I don't remember if it's Great Australian Bake Off Season... No, it is Great Australian Bake Off Season 4, I want to say? Or 5, please don't crucify me. Bake Off is great, and people would have heard me rave about this on a Let's Get Deeper episode that I did with internet friend of mine, Brandon. Another Brandon, not Great Mates Brandon. Another Brandon, who's obsessed with Bake Off as well. Yes, so go watch it if you can find it. If you need to travel, I hear that you're gonna have to do a lot of traveling over the next few weeks because Australian is about to premiere, but we've also got the Canadian series and the OG series also currently broadcasting in Canada and in the UK respectively, and I already have favorites. So yes, I am very much Team Michael, Team Henry in Great British, and Team Chris and Team Colin in the Canadian Bake Off. We'll have to see what happens with who I pick as favorites for the Australian Bake Off, but yes. My other recommend is going to be oh goodness me, I'm gonna have to just double check what the name is. It's a YouTube channel that focuses on highlighting tiny living spaces. The channel itself is called Never Too Small. So it's an Australian produced YouTube channel that they're currently doing series called Never Too Small. So they go around the world looking for tiny ass spaces and talk about the design and what the architects do to make things look bigger, make things look more cozy, and the wacky things that they try to fit into apartments that range from like 35 square meters all the way down to 20 square meters, and anything in between. So that's my other recommendation. And if you want to come find me on Twitter, where I'm currently ranting about Terrace House Tokyo, or raving about all versions of Bake Off, and probably Good Place as well, because Good Place would have started by the time this episode has dropped. I am on Twitter as Abangpanoy. You can also find me on Instagram using the same handle. So that's going to be it. If you want to come find the podcast socials, we're on Twitter and Instagram as Great Mates Podcast. Come and interact with us. Leave us your questions. Send us anything, like slide into our DMs. Leave us feedback as well. If you enjoyed this episode or any of the past episodes, feel free to leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening to us. And if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. Because we never accept anything less than 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Apart from that, as I mentioned earlier in this episode, we are going to end season 3 of the Great Mates podcast at the end of November. And we also have our special Halloween themed episode coming up in about 4 weeks. So there's that. Feel free to send us your spooky themed questions and maybe recommendations for what kind of fruit we should dip in chili sauce, because that will be a running gag again this year. And yeah, that's going to be it from us this week. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys on another episode. Bye.
Bye.